आचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादः शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। शङ्करं परमानन्दं ब्रह्मनिष्ठं यतीश्वरं भाष्यभ्रान्तिहरं वन्दे शुद्धज्ञानैकबोधकम्। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 ॐ नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। We'll begin with the Shanti mantra. ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्ताक्षो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम। We shall chant the mantras of the 6th section from the second mantra. तस्मै स होवाच इहैवान्तः शरीरे सौम्य स पुरुषः यस्मिन्नेता षोडशकला प्रभवन्तीति। स ईशांश्चक्रे कस्मिन्नहम् उत्क्रान्तो भविष्यामि कस्मिन् वा प्रतिष्ठिते प्रतिष्ठास्यामीति। स प्राणम् अश्रुजत प्राणात् श्रद्धां खं वायुः ज्योतिरापः पृथ्वी इंद्रियं मनो अन्नम् अन्नाद् वीर्यं तपो मंत्राः कर्म लोकाः लोकेषु च नाम च। So the last seeker, Sukesha Bharadwaja, he asked this question about that Shodasha Kala Purusha. Tam tva prachami kvaso Purusha iti. Where is this Purusha of 16 kalas? So the teacher replies, Iha eva antasharire Soumya. Hey Soumya, he is there within this body itself, from whom are born all these kalas. So that Purusha alone, in the beginning, thought and projected these kalas. So Ishans Chakre kasmin aham utkranto bhavishyami kasmin va pratishtite pratishthasyamiti. So from that Purusha, the first one to be born is the prana. Sa pranam ashrujata. The Purusha projected prana in the beginning. Then from the prana, Shraddha. Thereafter, the five elements come, Vayu, Jyotihi, Apaha, and Prithvi. Then the Indriyas, the Panchagnanendriyas, Panchakarmendriyas, and their master, the mind. Then to give that nourishment to all these equipments, Anna was created, food. Then from that food, one gains the strength, the power, the strength is born. And with that one performs various karma and gets more and more attached to this world. And the mind also starts becoming impure. Then the Purusha, in order to make the mind pure, created tapas. So tapaha. Tapa is very important. From tapa only, the yatra, proactive yatra begins. With tapa, we not only can attain anything in this world, but we can attain moksha also through tapas. So tapa was created. Then in order to streamline the tapa, the mantras were also created. Mantras means the Vedas. So Vedas also they came into existence. See, the Vedas also remain when the whole pralaya happens. Then the Vedas also remain as that Sat, just as this world remains as Sat. There are no names, no forms during pralaya. So Sadeva Soumya Damukrasit, Sat alone remains, means the world remains as Sat. And then, when the creation happens, it manifests in different forms, having different names. So even the Vedas, they manifest from that Purusha. And they are the mantras. Then based on the mantras, the karma one can perform. So karma is also born. And the result of karma are the various lokas. So lokas are also born from that Purusha. And when we are born in these different lokas, we have our names also. So names are also born. So Lokeshu cha nama cha. So these are the 16 kalas of the Purusha. So Purusha is there, having the 16 facets. Purusha is one. Kalas are 16. But these kalas are all expression of that one Purusha alone. From the standpoint of Purusha, there are no divisions of any kind. But from the standpoint of the kalas, we see different divisions. And when we see and when we assume these differences, then we experience the samsara. But when we comprehend the Purusha as our own self, we become free of this samsara. So the beautiful kalas are described here, and then finally the teacher also reveals how one can become one with that Purusha. He reveals this with the help of an example in the following mantra. So let us chant mantra number 5. स यथेमानद्यः स्यन्दमानाः समुद्रायणाः समुद्रं प्राप्य अस्तं गच्छन्ति भिद्येते तासां नामरूपे समुद्र इत्येवं प्रोच्यते एवम् एव अस्य परिद्रष्टुः इमा षोडशकलाः पुरुषायणाः पुरुषं प्राप्य अस्तं गच्छन्ति भिद्येते चासां नामरूपे पुरुष इत्येवं प्रोच्यते स एषो कलो अमृतो भवति तदेष श्लोकः. Once more. स यथेमानद्यः संजमानाः समुद्रायणाः समुद्रं प्राप्य अस्तं गच्छन्ति भिद्येते तासां नामरूपे समुद्र इत्येवं प्रोच्यते एवमेव अस्य परिद्रष्टुः इमा षोडशकला पुरुषायणाः पुरुषं प्राप्य अस्तं गच्छन्ति भिद्येते चासां नामरूपे पुरुष इत्येवं प्रोच्यते स एष अकलः अमृतो भवति तदेष श्लोकः. The teacher gives an example. He says, Sa yatha ima nadyah, like this rivers, like the various rivers which are there, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Narmada, Sindhu, Kaveri, Brahmaputra, Saryu, so many nadis are there. And Sandamanaha, they're constantly flowing. The nadis, the rivers, they constantly flow. But where do they flow? Where are they going? They're busy going towards the sea, Samudrayanaha, toward the sea, toward the ocean. The nadis, they keep moving. And then what happens? Samudram prapya, having reached the sea, Astam gachanti, all these rivers, they just disappear into the sea. Vidyate tasam nama rupe, their names and forms also disappear. Thereafter, samudra iti evam prochyate. They are only called samudra. They are no longer called Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, but they are then called, named as Samudra only, as the sea. Evam eva asya paridrashtuhu, in the same way of this Purusha, who is indicated here as paridrashtuhu, who is the seer everywhere. Ima Shodasha Kala, whose 16 kalas, Purushayanaha, they also constantly flow towards the Purusha. And then what happened? Purusham Prapya, having attained the Purusha, Astam Gachanti, all these kalas, they also disappear. Disappear means what happens? Vidyate chasam nama rupe, their names and forms no longer remains. Purusha iti evam prochyate, thereafter they are known as Purusha alone. And one who recognizes this Purusha, sa eshaha, this enlightened person who recognizes this Purusha, he also becomes akalaha, becomes free of all the kalas. Then all the kalas are not there. Becomes free of all these kalas. And amrutaha bhavati, and becomes immortal. Because of the presence of the kalas only, one experiences change, experiences mortality. But when those kalas are merged in the Purusha, then there is no mortality. Tadesha shloka, the teacher also quotes one shloka in the following mantra. So let us contemplate on this beautiful example which is given here. The teacher is giving us the guidance, but in a very mystical way, the guidance is given. So we have to contemplate and understand properly. So a very beautiful example is given, and that of the rivers and the ocean. See, our Prithvi is surrounded by ocean. Also, many land masses are there, continents are there. But there is vast oceans are there around. The Indian Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the Arctic Ocean. So many oceans are there. And so many seas are there. So many gulfs are there. So many bays are there. Different names of these water bodies. Like our Bharat is surrounded on one side by the Arabian Sea. Then below we have the Indian Ocean. And on one side we have the Bay of Bengal. So many rivers, they flow into the Bay of Bengal. Some rivers flow into the Arabian Sea. Some merge into the Indian Ocean. So they keep flowing. So if you just focus your attention on the ocean, it's a vast water body. We have named the different parts with different names, but it is just one unit only. Therefore, we have what we call the sea level. The sea level is same. The sea, all the oceans are all interconnected only, and they are so vast. And what are these oceans? What is the essence of these oceans? The essence of this ocean is water. Whether we call it Indian Ocean or the Pacific Ocean or the Antarctica or the Arctic Ocean, they're all nothing but water and water alone everywhere. But this Samudra, and it's also called Samudra. In Sanskrit, the oceans are called Samudra. Samudra means mudrena saha vartate. Mudra means different expressions. The Samudra is the ocean, they have different expressions. If you just sit on the on the on the beach and look at the ocean, you will find different moods of the ocean. Sometimes it's very calm and peaceful, sometimes very rough. Sometimes you have this such huge waves rising in the ocean. At times we have the tsunamis and all. Mighty waves, they rise and just enter the land, destroying everything on the way. Such might is there, such power is there. So all these are different expressions of the ocean. It has got immeasurable power, and it expresses in different ways. Expresses in different ways. So though we have the ocean, the waters, they come on the land also. So we have the beautiful water cycle. The waters of the ocean gets evaporated by the mighty rays of the sun. The waters on the surface, they get evaporated. And they just rise, they become vapor. And they keep rising. And they go on top. And there, because of the cool temperature, they start condensing. And we see the clouds formation. And the clouds, they start moving also. Because of the breeze and wind, the clouds, they move. They come on top of the land. And then the precipitation also happens. The condensed water, the vapor, becomes water droplets or sometimes ice and they start falling down on land. Sometimes they directly shower over the ocean itself, and some they shower on the land, on the hills, on the mountains, and the little streams and rivulets they start coming down the mountain. Some of them they meet the rivers, and the rivers start moving. Some of the water percolates inside the earth and become some reservoirs inside the earth, or they also move inside along the river. Some of these waters get absorbed by the plants and trees. Some remain in some lake or ponds. Such a fascinating thing. But as the water flows in the rivers, they are constantly moving toward the ocean. Their only goal, it seems to be like becoming one with the ocean again. They keep moving toward the ocean. So this is a beautiful water cycle which we see. So if you just focus your attention on the ocean has got all this color as though the river, the rivulet, the stream, the pond, the lake, the clouds, the rains, the evaporation. All these are different expressions of the mighty ocean. Similarly, this Purusha expresses as the 16 kalas. But all these kalas, all these rivers, they again move toward the ocean. Similarly, all these kalas also they move toward the Purusha only. They are born from the Purusha, they sustained in Purusha, and they merge back into Purusha. Whenever they get a chance, they just want to merge back with the Purusha. So even when we, during the day, we are so busy running around, then at night when we go to sleep, again in our dream also we keep moving around. But then when the mind gets tired in the dream, the mind takes a rest. And where does it take rest? In this Purusha only. In deep sleep, we become one with this Purusha. There are no kalas, there are no movements, nothing, no divisions, no duality. I alone remain as the Purusha in deep sleep. But then, when the mind wakes up, again we experience the various kalas. So sa yatha ima nadyah spandamanaha. So these nadis which are constantly moving, they have their own gati. Samudrayanaha, they move toward the samudra only. You will not find nadis moving toward the desert. Desert may require more water, but samudra, the rivers will not move there. They will move towards the ocean only in a natural way. Unless we try to stop them, even if we try to stop, they will break all obstacles. If little pebbles come, they carry the pebbles with them. If big boulders are there, they will push the boulders also toward the sea. If some mountain or hill or something comes, they will try to break it and move toward the sea. We try to build dams and all, but so much pressure gets created on the dam. Sometimes it gets broken and then the river flows toward the sea. It keeps moving toward the sea. Samudrayana, their goal, their destination is the sea. See, if you just trace a water drop from the ocean, in the ocean also various currents are there. Some of the waters, they remain at the depth of the ocean, calm, quiet, peaceful, cool, they remain there for a long time. But some of the waters which are there on the surface of the ocean, they are very restless, moving around. And that water droplet turns into vapor and starts rising and gets condensed there, becomes the cloud, moves around, and falls down as rain. Some of these droplets, they are absorbed by the trees, and some of them get evaporated from the leaves also directly, and they go become the clouds. And sometimes the rain directly falls into the ocean itself. So these different jivas who come from that Purusha, they have their different yatras also. Some go into the various lokas and come down on earth, and they pass through so many different stages of their life. But deeply they have this urge to go toward the ocean. Therefore, we have this in our tradition, we have so much reverence for these rivers and the ocean because they show us our own life. So when these rivers, which have different names, they have different names, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, and depending on their nature and their flow also, some names are given to them, like Mandakini, beautiful river which flows in Chitrakoot. It flows very, very slowly, mandagati. It's called Mandakini. Some rivers are so very turbulent. Some are dark in complexion, some are fair in complexion. Gangaji is fair, Yamunaji is dark. Some have masculine names like Brahmaputra. And these rivers are very dear to our devtas also. Like Shiva Bhagwan loves Narmada. Even Gangaji flows from his jatas. Bhagwan Krishna used to play in the Yamuna river. So all these beautiful rivers are there. They have different names. But what happened when they meet the ocean or the sea? What happened to their names and their forms? They just merge into the ocean. They just become one with the ocean. And when they become one with the ocean, we no longer call them Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati. They are just named as the ocean. See, some river they merge into another river also. Like Yamuna merges into Ganga. Yamuna river merges into Ganga and thereafter is known as Ganga only. And that Ganga keeps flowing toward the Bay of Bengal and merges there into the bay. So when they merge, these rivers merge with the sea or the ocean, they are called the sea only. Samudram prapya astam gacchanti. Their journey comes to an end. Vidyate tasam nama rupe, their names and forms are dissolved. There is no separate Ganga, Yamuna. If you try to pick up the water from the sea, you will not be able to differentiate this has come from Ganga, or this has come from Yamuna, or this has come from Kaveri. All these waters, they become one only. They are only called Samudra. Tasam nama rupe, vidyate tasam nama rupe, samudra iti evam prochyate. They are called Samudra only. Evam eva asya paridrashtuhu. In the same way, evam eva, this paridrashtuhu, here this beautiful term is used, paridrashtuhu. What is the meaning of parid? Evam yatha ayam drashtantah ukta lakshanasya prakritasya asya purushasya paridrashtuhu. Paridrashtuhu यानी परिसमन्तात drashtuhu. Darshanasya kartuhu. This Purusha is one who has created seers everywhere. See, from that Purusha is born this prana and this mind and senses, etc. And in all these units, that same Purusha expresses as drashta, as kshetrajna. In Gita also Bhagavan says, idam shariram kaunteya kshetramittya vidhiyate etad yo vettitam prahuhu kshetrajniti tatvidaha. That this body is kshetra and the one who is seeing this body is kshetrajna. So in this way, so many beings are there. Infinite beings are there. And in each one of them, that Purusha alone has become the drashta, the seer. Purusha alone is the seer. So paridrashtuhu, परिसमन्ताद् द्रष्टुः दर्शनस्य कर्तुः स्वरूपभूतस्य यथा अर्कः स्वात्मप्रकाशस्य कर्ता सर्वतः तद्वत्. Just like the sun also expresses in billions of rays. If you look at the sun, billions of rays emerge from the sun. The sun as though creates billions of rays. But the sun along with the rays is that sun only. Rays are also expressions of the sun. Billions of rays are there. If you take even one ray and trace it back to its source, you will see the sun. If you move in the direction of the rays, you might see something else. But if you try to find the source of that ray, you will see the sun. So billions of rays are created by the sun. Similarly, billions of drashtas are born in the Purusha. So paridrashtuhu, parisamantat drashtuhu, darshanasya kartuhu, swarupa bhutasya yatharkaha, swatma prakashasya karta, sarvatah tadvad ima shodasha kala, pranadhyaha ukta kala purushayana. Similarly, these various kalas, starting from prana all the way to nama, what are their nature? What are their tendencies? Their tendencies are to move toward the Purusha only. Whenever they get a chance, they move toward the Purusha. Just as if you take a stone and throw it up, it will keep going up depending on the power and the strength with which you have thrown the stone. Then it comes to a halt at a particular level. And then what happens? It again comes down to earth. Its source, its destination is the earth. It comes down to earth. The power, the force to move away from that earth, when it is over, it again comes back to earth. Similarly, all our desires, which are born from avidya, propel us into different activities. Avidya, kama, karma, it is called. Avidya is the source from where different kamnas they arise, and these kamnas propel us into different types of activities. They take us from one point to another point in this cosmos, in this universe. But whenever the desires come to an end, the karma also comes to an end, then what happens? We just merge, we just reside in that Purusha alone. Just temporarily, when our desires come to an end, in deep sleep, we just merge in that Purusha. So Purusha is our ultimate destination. All of us are Purushayana, moving toward that Purusha. And then what happens? Purusham prapya, when we attain that Purusha, when these kalas attain the Purusha, their names and forms just disappear. Then they are no longer prana, mana, indriya, shraddha, mantra, tapa. All these differences are no longer there. They all remain as Purusha alone. प्राणाद्य उक्ता कलाः पुरुषायनः नदीनाम् इव समुद्रः पुरुषः अयनम् आत्मभावगमनं यासां कलानां ताः पुरुषायणाः पुरुषं प्राप्य पुरुषात्मभावम् उपगम्य तथा एव अस्तं गच्छन्ति. So attaining that Purusha, they just merge into the Purusha. They become of the nature of Purusha, means they merge into the Purusha. Their separate names and forms are no longer there. Vidyate cha asam nama rupe kalanam pranadhyakya rupam cha yatha swam. Their names and forms also gets dissolved. And even when the names and forms are destroyed, are dissolved, the Purusha remains same. Purusha doesn't get dissolved. So ya evam vidvan guruna pradarshita kala pralaya margah sa esha vidyaya pravilapitas swavidya काम कर्म जनितासु प्राणादि कलासु akalah. So this path is shown by the teacher, that how all these kalas they move toward the Purusha and merge into the Purusha, giving up their names and forms. So one has to identify with that Purusha and let all these kalas move toward the Purusha only. Avidya krita kala nimitto hi mrityuhu. Then one will become free of mrityu, death, because all this death, life and death is only with respect to the kalas. From the standpoint of the Purusha, there is no life, there is no death. There is no birth, there is no death. And tad apagame akalatvat eva amruto bhavati. Hence, that person becoming akalaha, free from all these kalas, also becomes immortal. Now see, one is that we have to, when one transcends this body, mind, intellect, senses, pranas, one merges into that Purusha only. But even when this body, mind, intellect, and senses and everything is there, one has to recognize that Purusha. One has to recognize the Purusha. Just like the Samudra always expresses as so many rivers, so many lakes, as the clouds, as the rains. All these are expressions of the Samudra only. And at any time, in any place, in any situation, a drop of water can recognize itself as water. When it recognizes itself as water, it becomes one with that Purusha only. Then all these divisions don't remain. When we identify with our own inner essence, we become one with the Purusha. Then all these divisions are no longer there. Then everything becomes of the nature of Purusha only. An enlightened person, even when his body is present, is experiencing this world, he has become one with that Purusha. For him, everything is Purusha only. Purusha evedagam sarvam yad bhutam yad cha bhavyam. Everything is Purusha and Purusha alone to him. So while living in this truth, in this body, living in this world, he identifies with that Purusha and is free, Jivan Muktaha. And when this body gets dropped, again he is one with that Purusha only. So one has to take guidance from this Shastra and recognize that Purusha by changing the flow, by flowing with the flow of the kalas towards the Purusha. See, when we have desires and all, we perform action, we go into different lokas. But if we trace back all these kalas, first of all, name is there, my name is there. This name is identified with this body. One has to just drop the attachment to the name itself. Attachment to the lokas, attachment to karma, to the mantras, tapa, virya, anna, mana, indriya, this pancha mahabhut, that shraddha, and identify with that prana. And that prana also merges into that Purusha. So one can trace back the Shodasha Kala toward that Purusha. Just as the rivers move toward the ocean, we identify with the Kalas moving towards the Purusha and becoming one with the Purusha. This happens through knowledge. Because the Purusha, along with the Kalas, will remain. But when we shift our attention from the Kalas to the Purusha, we transcend the Kalas. So in a very mysterious and symbolic way, the teacher has revealed the Shodasha Kala Purusha and also has shown the path to move toward this Purusha and become one with that Purusha, transcending all Kalas. And when we transcend all these Kalas, we gain that immortality also. The teacher quotes one mantra, so let us chant that mantra. Mantra number 6. Ara ivarathanabhau kala yasmin pratishtitaah tam vedyam purusham veda yatha mavo mrityuho parivyatha iti. Ara iva rathanabhau kala yasmin pratishtita tam vedyam purusham veda yatha mavo mrityuhu parivyatha iti. The teacher quotes a mantra from other portion of the Vedas, which convey the same meaning as presented before. So he says, Ara iva ratanabhav. Another example is given. He just as the spokes of a wheel are attached to the hub, to the central axle, the hub. So ara eva ratanabhav kala yasmin pratishtita. So that hub controls that wheel through the spokes. The wheel is balanced by the spokes which are attached to the hub. Similarly, all these kalas are held in that Purusha. So from that Purusha, all these kalas they come out, and the whole this wheel of this universe keeps moving. We experience this world, but this world is held together in balance by the spokes, but the spokes themselves are controlled and sustained and stationed into that hub, which is like the Purusha. So ara iva ratanabho kala yasmin pratishtita. So all these kalas are sustained or fixed in that Purusha, like the spokes are fixed in that hub. Tam Vedyam Purusham. So that Purusha is Vedyam, is to be known, is to be recognized. That Purusha has to be recognized. Purusha has to be recognized. And once we recognize that Purusha, we will be able to see that Purusha in all the kalas also. So tam Vedyam Purusham Veda. So here the teacher is giving instructions to the disciples. He says, Purusham Veda. Know that Purusha, who has to be known. Recognize that Purusha. And that Purusha we have to recognize as our own innermost self. Because the first expression of that Purusha is as I. So when I experience that I am, that is the Purusha only expression of the Purusha alone. So when we trace our attention, when we shift our attention to that prana, and in that prana, the sense of I which we have, and trace the very source of that I is that Purusha. So this is possible when we drop our identification and attachment to the kalas. Like this pot. What is this? A pot. But if you have to look at the clay, you have to shift your attention from the pot. You have to shift your attention from the name and form. If the attention is on the name and form, then we will not be able to recognize that clay. Similarly, one has to shift one's attention from all these names and forms and recognize that Purusha behind every name and form. So when we recognize the ocean as water, then we will see water in the vapor also. We will see the same water in the clouds. We will see same water in the rains. We will see same water in the rivers and streams and lakes and ponds and underground reservoirs. We will see water everywhere. So, so one who has recognized that Purusha, the very essence of that Purusha, will be able to see that Purusha everywhere. So tam vedyam Purusham Veda yatha mavo mrityuhu. If you want to become free of the yatha, the afflictions and pain and disturbance of mrityu, death, then you know this Purusha. Because once this Purusha is known, then death will not disturb us. Then there is no death. See, that drop of water which is rising from that ocean, if it identifies with its form, it will have so much of pain and sorrow and disturbance, suffering, that I am moving away from the ocean. Oh, I am becoming the cloud. Oh, I am falling down. Oh, I am going into this river. Always some change and some excitement, some trouble. But once that droplet recognizes itself as water, then it doesn't matter whether I am in the river, stream, as the rain, as the cloud, as the ocean. I am the same ocean only. I am that ocean of the nature of water. Similarly, when I recognize that Purusha, the real nature of Purusha, I will become free of the afflictions of death and gain that immortality. Thus, the teacher gave this beautiful knowledge to the disciple. More about this we will see in our class on Wednesday. Till then, you take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy, do your work, do your sadhana. Listen to the pravachan again, and we will meet again on Wednesday. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram. Bole Siya Ramachandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Namaha. Hari Om.